That's a genius. Who is it? Vivi, bro. Vivi, you did your thing on this.
In contrast, there is also evidence that Radagon was always part of Marika. For example, Enya says that
But she said, "Thou art yet to become me. Thou art yet to become a god." Oh my god, this shit got me speaking old English, bro. All right, guys. So I watched a video that was basically like the entire Elden Ring lore story, explaining demigods, the greater will. But I understand that there's still theories out there and stuff. And I figured I'd go through this playlist of Vati. I'm gonna call him Vivi. And I'm gonna just go through this entire playlist. Not in this one video, but I want to understand everything. He'll probably like say some new things, maybe a different twist or different theories. Let's get right into it, man. This one is just the overall lore.
In the lands between. It begins in the cosmos, far away, with an outer god called the Greater Will.
Right.
There are a lot of outer gods mentioned in Elden Ring. You can think of these kind of like the great ones of Bloodborne. They're distant beings, they're all-powerful, and they're quite unknowable by design. But many of these outer gods want to make their presence felt in the world. The Greater Will, maybe most of all. To this end, it sent a golden star hurtling towards the lands between. The Elden Star's incantation tells us that this golden star was bearing a beast, an Elden beast. The Elden Remembrance calls it a vassal beast of the Greater Will. If you didn't know, a vassal is someone who holds land on behalf of their overlord. Obviously, this is fitting in this case, because the Elden beast occupied the lands between on behalf of the Greater Will.
Right.
It was a living incarnation
right.
of the concept of
right.
order.
Understood.
As such, this beast would later become the Elden Ring. The Elden Ring itself is made up of runes of power, some great, some small, that together represent a sort of logic for the world to follow. Thus, the Elden Ring represents order. The true nature of this order is a subject of constant debate and research undergone by fundamentalists. But two of the key fundamentals are the laws of causality and regression.
Oh, that's fire.
Think of the law of causality as cause and effect, where actions have consequences, and those consequences are new causes that...
Because I know the effect, because I did incantations. I know the effect. Yeah, I got it.
out into infinity. These are the relationships between things.
Already.
Then there's the law of regression that states that all things eternally yearn to converge and return to their roots. Fittingly, then, the Elden Ring is housed within the Erdtree, which towers over the lands between. But it's very important to stress that life in the lands between...
Wait. Bring it back.
The Elden Ring is housed within the Erdtree, which towers over the lands between. But it's very important to stress that life in the lands between did not begin with the Erdtree, the Elden Ring, or the Elden Beast. No, the lands between were occupied well before the came. There were other beings here. There were other factions here.
Oh my gosh.
There were other gods here. And there was even another great tree here before the Erdtree.
You talking the Halig tree?
And this is where a huge twist regarding the Erdtree comes.
That wasn't the Halig tree. That was the Deep Root Depths, which is...
So, there are incantations in the game called Aspects of the Crucible. According to their descriptions, these are manifestations of the Erdtree's primal vital energies. And I quote, "They are an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together." But how could all life be blended together in the Erdtree if the Erdtree appeared after life existed?
Right! I was literally just about to say that.
Answer, right? That the Erdtree is a parasite, and it took over a tree that existed here before. This ancient tree was called the Great Tree. So the Great Tree was almost certainly the location of this primordial crucible, and it must have been a very powerful primordial force for the Greater Will to have commandeered. It might even be the reason the lands between is important to the Great.
That makes so much sense. Literally, because if you kill that guy he just showed, he gives you armor that boosts aspect of the crucible incantations. So it makes sense that he put the Elden Ring, whoever made it, bro, From Software did their thing. I understand that they didn't write what the overall world was going to be. They asked somebody else to do that, right? I forget who, but and then like took the story, then developed the game around it. But holy crap, or not the story. I think they just took the world and developed the game around it. But go on, bro. I'm not even 5 minutes in.
It also explains why spells and enemies related to the Great Tree's crucible would eventually be looked down upon. For example, the knot talisman is fashioned from a knotted vestige of the crucible, and it was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. Enemies related to the crucible are the Omen, the Misbegotten, and the Crucible Knights, and all
that makes so much sense because they're all mixed, like with like different shit, bro.
The Crucible are the Omen, the Misbegotten, and the Crucible Knights, and all three of them would be shunned, enslaved, or imprisoned. Those who speak for the Erdtree don't want you to know its roots, so to speak. According to the spell, protection of the Erdtree, in the beginning everything was in opposition to the Erdtree, but through countless victories in war, it became the embodiment of order.
In Marika's own words,
Wow.
The Erdtree governs all. The choice is thine. Become one with the order, or divest thyself of it, to wallow at the fringes, a powerless upstart.
But the greater will needed more than a big tree. It needed loyal...
Bro, what?
At the fringes, a powerless upstart.
But the greater will needed more than a big tree. It needed loyal agents in the lands between. To this end, it has the two fingers, who are its envoys. The two fingers heirloom has a weird picture of them, but it reads, of course, fingers cannot speak, yet these are eloquent.
Ooh,
Persistently
Mars.
they wriggle, spelling out mysteries in the air. Thus did we gain the words of our faith.
Wow.
These words are interpreted by the finger readers.
Yeah.
These are the
That's funny as hell.
crones that you would have interpreted
Oh,
by the
no.
finger readers. These are the undying old crones that you would have found throughout the lands between.
Right.
They pass down the wisdom of the two fingers, or at least they used to.
Your fingers, please, your fingers. I can read them.
Most of them appear to have lost their purpose, and they're desperate to read your fingers and tell you annoying riddles, since their two fingers are likely dead. And yes,
Wow.
of course, there are multiple sets of two fingers. You would have found their corpses.
That makes too much sense, bro. Never caught that. Never caught that. Never caught. This is what happens when you go into a game with preconceptions about what that game was going to be, and you don't pay attention to the story. Never played a From Software game. Didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was too focused on like just understanding the game and scaling my character. Story. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize till the end how deep this shit was. Every time I went up there, I saw the fingers. Never clicked in my mind that those were two fingers, bro.
On the tops of the divine towers. Atop these towers, you loot the fingers in order to activate the true power of a great rune. Specifically,
Oh my God, that
you
makes
are
so much
giving
sense.
benediction back to your great rune. You're taking a blessing back from the two dead fingers, essentially. This is just one of many blessings that the two fingers can bestow, and my point is kind of that the two fingers clearly have more than just influence. They have real power on some level. The greater will needs these powerful envoys and agents because, while it's obviously incredibly powerful, it does seem limited by a few things. First is space. The greater will didn't come to the lands between itself, it sent an elden beast to do its bidding instead. Second is time. There is a moment later in the game where your pair of two fingers go still because they're forced to commune with the greater will for guidance.
When they are finished, the fingers will again offer their guidance. But thousands, if not tens of thousands, of moons must first pass. No matter for me. But you, how will you ever manage to wait?
So the greater will needs a physical manifestation of order. It needs envoys to convey its will, but what it also needs is a god. Introducing Marika the Eternal.
Right.
I have this utterly enormous mind map of Elden Ring's lore, and there's a reason she's at the center. She's introducing of Elden.
My man is a student of the game. I love that.
Elden Ring's lore, and there's a reason she's at the center. She's essentially the equivalent of Gwyn from Dark Souls, except unlike Gwyn, Marika didn't just crawl out of the dark and find power.
Spoilers,
to an
bro.
extent, it seems like she earned it. We don't know much about her origins, except that she is of the Newman race, which is actually an origin that you can choose in the character selection screen. Newman come from outside the lands between, and are supposed descendants of denizens of another world, long-lived but seldom born. At some point, Marika was chosen as an Empyrean. What is an Empyrean? Well,
Those born of a single god.
Empyrean is a being chosen by the fingers.
Fuck!
Candidate for godhood. As an Empyrean, Marika received the aid of a shadow.
What? I guess the other dude did say that. But you also still had to be...
to do her bidding.
Because Ronnie does say me, Mikola, and Melania are Empyreans chosen by our very own two fingers or something like that.
So what is a shadow? Well, it's a wolf, shadow-bound to its Empyrean by the two fingers. Luna Princess Rani is another example of an Empyrean with a shadow-bound beast. You would have met Blythe. These creatures are the Empyrean's very own shadow. They are
Never caught
completely
that.
loyal
Okay,
to their needs, and by definition...
Oh, yeah, I did. I read the... But it never, like, clicked, as in, like, in the narrative.
Of treachery. Marika's shadow was a beast called Malakath. Every Empyrean uses their shadow in different ways, but Marika's sole need of her shadow was as a vessel to lock away destined death.
I was about to say it, damn it.
Destined death. Well, according to Enya, it's the rune of death.
The rune of death goes by two names. The other is destined death.
We mentioned earlier that the Elden Ring is made up of runes, and at some point, maybe when she was chosen as a god, Marika plucked the rune of death from the Elden Ring. She gave the rune of death to Malakath, her totally loyal shadow, who bore a black blade imbued with this rune. It's kind of genius, really. In a single act, she removed the concept of death from the lands between, while also commanding total control of death through her shadow, who could deliver it at her whim.
That's a genius. Who is it? Vivi, bro. Vivi, you did your thing on this. You talking, you speaking. I love it. Student of the game.
Now, some of you might be asking, if death is removed from the lands between, how come I can kill this dog? First off, shame.
Because they respawn once you rest at a site of grace. So they are immortal.
On you. Second, from a lore point of view, that dog isn't really dead. It's simply in the process of its spirit, or its soul, returning to the Erdtree. Catacomb dungeons, for example, are specifically constructed near the roots of the Great Tree for this reason, so that the Erdtree can reabsorb their ashes back into it. This process replaced the concept of a death you were destined to have. But this random spirit
Who put this story together, bro? Because I know it wasn't just him. He must have a team of people. And everybody just Discords, Twitter, everything. Golly.
Replaced the
what in the world
that you were destined to have. But this random spirit outside of a catacomb dungeon says it best.
Proper death means returning to the Erdtree. Have patience. To the time. I wish I paid attention to the story from the very beginning, bro.
Example of this theory, when you kill a major boss, you receive a remembrance of them. These are spirits, and they are hewn into the Erdtree. In this way, thanks to the Erdtree's grace, their spirits are immortalized, in a sense. This new form of death also explains what's happening when you summon spirits
from ash and return to the Erdtree.
However, some spirits never return to the Erdtree, and they rise within death as corpses or skeletons instead.
Wait, hold on.
Rise within.
Note, this is also partly because of Deathroot, which we will address in another video. Come on, man, give it all to me. Pause.
In death as corpses or skeletons instead.
Confused the Erdtree's call to return to live within death.
So this was the new order.
Wow.
In this moment, when the rune of death was removed, when destined death was taken, this is when order became the golden order.
The forbidden shadow plucked from the golden order upon its creation.
Specifically, this was Marika's golden order. So not only did she become a god and a vessel for the Elden Ring, she became renowned as Marika the Eternal for her removal of destined death. It was a huge part of her character and her reign as well. However, Marika had more than just death to conquer. She had wars to fight, as the world was occupied by many forces that could threaten her golden order. There was war with the Storm Lord, who likely ruled over Stormvale, and there was a war with the Giants, who were masters of a flame that could burn the Erdtree. There was war with the Ancient Dragons, who incidentally had stones that could twist time and thus slay a god.
I know that.
Finally, there was war brewing with the Carrion royalty, who had previously obeyed laws which contravened the Golden Order. Thus, sort of similar to how the Greater Will needed an Empyrean to enforce its will, Marika herself needed someone to wage war. So, there was
an Elden Lord. This story, bro, and the fact that I'm watching a 30-minute YouTube video. This is my second 30-minute YouTube video I'm watching about this shit, bro. And it's still like being pieced together in my head, bro. Wow, man.
A consort, an Elden Lord. The man chosen was Hoarah, a ferocious warrior who became known as the Lord of the Battlefield. His crown was warranted with strength, and while it was for this strength that Marika married him, he was also required to take a vow to conduct himself as a lord. To suppress the ceaseless lust for battle that raged within, Hoarah took the beast regent Sarosh upon his back. You'll notice this is another example of a beast being given for the purpose of serving order. Thus, in this moment, he went from being Hoarah, warrior, to Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, consort to Queen Marika, and a certified demigod.
Wait, that clashes with the video I saw. Because in that video, I was going to say something, but I kind of wanted him to finish what he was saying. In that video, at least this is what I'm understanding, or like what went to my brain when I watched it. Godfrey, once he became tarnished, instead of the Elden Lord, he was the Elden Lord initially, but the Golden Order, I forget exactly what happened, but basically he lost the glow in his eyes and he became tarnished. And he set out on a journey to become someone different, which is Hoarah, if that's how you say his name. And he came back to try to become Elden Lord. And that's why you two fight, to become Elden Lord. He's the first, but not anymore. You know what I mean? Like, because he became tarnished. That's what I understood from the last video. But this video, from a different person, is telling me that he was Hoarah first and became, and like, after getting Seraph, he became Godfrey, consort to Marika.
Elden Lord, consort to Queen Marika, and a certified demigod. Godfrey and Marika had 3 demigod children together. There was Godwyn the Golden, who you saw being killed in the opening trailer, and there were also the reviled Omen twins, Morgoth, who guards the Erdtree, and Mohg, who became Lord of Blood. You might think that Godric was another demigod child, but he actually wasn't. Instead, he was probably descended from Godwyn. Anyway, we'll talk about the demigods more in detail.
See, in the last video from Gingi, I don't know how to say his name, he was a son. He was a child of. See, this is why this lore stuff is crazy, bro. I'm getting contradictory stuff.
In another video, so subscribe for that.
But low-key, I like this more.
Now, just know
Sorry.
that Godfrey and his offspring were the first demigods, henceforth known as the Golden Lineage.
I think it's the way this guy talks. It's like, yeah. He's like, I know what the fuck I'm saying, nigga. Like, that's the way his voice comes off.
So subscribe for that. But for now, just know that Godfrey and his offspring were the first demigods, henceforth known as the Golden Lineage.
Right.
In his wars, Godfrey led his 16 Crucible Knights into battle, who were named so for they fought with the primordial powers of the Erdtree. Their incantations were aspects of the Crucible itself, and they likely fought giants, dragons, the Stormlord, and more.
I could believe
in
it.
their age.
They strong as
the
hell.
age of the Erdtree.
In Marika's own words,
Likely fought giants, dragons, the Stormlord, and more to usher in their age, the age of the Erdtree.
in Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors. Hark, my lord Godfrey.
And the age of the Erdtree is the... Is that not the age that you're playing in? Or is it the age of like the Shattering? I kind of just assumed it was the age of the Erdtree that you were in. But let me keep watching.
The age of the
Hopefully you guys can clarify
the Erdtree.
In Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors. Hark, my lord Godfrey. We commend your deeds. Guidance hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place ye stand. Put the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening with life. Brandish the Elden Ring for the age of the Erdtree.
The Erdtree would go on to be largely seen as a blessing for all of those in the lands between, especially those close to it in
Right.
Leyndell, the capital city of the Erdtree. The tree bestowed blessings. For example, the dew that dropped from its branches were like jewels.
Yeah,
Gloomed
sacred tier, right?
overhead as a constant reminder of order, and its roots reached far and wide, relieving many of the burden of death. In fact, Erdtree burial was one of the highest honors a hero could receive. One by
Wow.
one, the previous factions of the world fell. The giants were put to the sword, and their fell god was killed by Marika herself. The ancient dragons broke down the walls of Leyndell, but met fierce retaliation. However, I think the House of the Erdtree encountered the most trouble against the land to their southwest, Leonia. Here, the House of the Moon
Carrion.
repelled their offensives time and time
I thought it was the Carrion family.
Leonia. Here, the House of the Moon repelled their offensives time and time again, and I mean that literally because...
Oh yeah, I remember them talking about that, because when you go in that one place with Ronnie and them, there are traps all over the place, and I think someone talks about how like the knights couldn't seize the place because of all the traps.
It was not just one, but two wars fought here, and in both of these, there was no victory for the Golden, nor for the Moon. And I suspect it was probably because of these lobsters. These damn things can snipe you from like a mile away.
That
and
is funny
it's
as
bullshit.
hell.
Actually, it was probably because of the Carrion Knights.
Okay, so fuck everything I'm saying. He's talking about they were repelled by the Order of the Moon, which is not the same as the Carrion family. Two different things. Carrion family had to fight off the Knights and the Order of the Moon, I think. Because he said there were two wars. I'm just gonna watch.
Who, according to their weapons, were able to wield sorcerous battle skills, and despite numbering fewer than 20, this power made them a match for even the champions of gold in battle. These enchanted knights were anointed by the Lunar Queen, a young astrologer who went on to establish the House of Caria as royalty in this land. With her bewitching lunar magic, she won over the Academy of Raya Lucaria, where glintstone sorcery was studied, and united the Carian royal family and the learned scholars of Raya Lucaria defended their home from the golden aggressors. At the head of this great golden army was Radagon.
Lord Radagon was a great champion, possessed of flowing red locks. He came to these lands at the head of a great golden host. When he met Lady Renala in battle.
This is fire. He put too much work into this video.
These two champions clashed, fell in love, and joined their houses.
Radagon once cleansed himself with celestial dew, repented his territorial aggressions, and swore his love to Renala. The order of the Erdtree and the fate of the moon were conjoined, and all the wounds of war forgiven.
You might think it strange that the Greater Will would permit this union, but it's not too odd, all things considered. As with most From Software games, sorcery and faith are just two sides of the same coin, and both of these powers stem from the cosmos. Radagon and Renala were known to have 3 children together. Lunar Princess Rani, who inherited her mother's propensity for lunar magic, Radahn, who took after his father Radagon and would go on to master gravitational magic, and Rykard, who pioneered new hex sorceries and would go on to feed himself to a great serpent. It follows that at some point after this, Marika began to harbor doubts about the Golden Order that she had had a hand in creating.
In Marika's own words, I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace is increased. Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?
And it's at this point that we should talk about Marika's motivations, her character.
Whoa, say it again though, run it back.
In Marika's own words, I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace is increased. Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?
And it's at this point that we should talk about Marika's motivations, her character. This is surely going to be one of those huge points of debate in the coming years, but for now, my working theory is that she wanted to discover the truth behind order and the truth behind the Greater Will, and she believed that bonds had to be broken so that they could be better understood. She believed that there was great meaning to be found in hardship.
Queen Marika has high hopes for us, that we continue to struggle unto eternity.
For Lord Godfrey, his struggle ended at the end of his campaigns. According to his armor, he led the war against the giants, faced the Storm Lord alone, and then there came a moment when his last worthy enemy fell. And it was then, as the story is told, that the hue of Lord Godfrey's eyes faded. In truth, he was robbed of his grace. Then Marika sent him away.
My lord.
So this is... what? Oh my gosh.
And thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between.
Damn.
Ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die.
This became known as the Long March of the Tarnished, as Godfrey and his tarnished descendants walked away from the lands between. But Queen Marika absolutely had a plan here, that Lord Godfrey and his descendants would one day return stronger, having struggled outside of grace.
Then, after thy death, I will give back what I once claimed, return to the lands between, wage war, and brandish the Elden Ring, grow strong in the face of death. Warriors of my lord, Lord Godfrey.
Soon after, she found a new husband. Either that or a new husband was found for her.
When Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was hounded from the lands between, Radagon left Rennala to return to the Erdtree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king consort, taking the title of Second Elden Lord. The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Radagon would cast Lady Rennala aside, and moreover, why a mere champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord.
Whatever the case, as a part of this union, Radagon's prior 3 children with Rennala became demigod stepchildren.
Holy shit. So, my understanding of this is that Radagon, and Marika are the same person, right? Which is obvious. Like, they made that pretty clear. And go on.
Granted grace thanks to their new family tree. Rennala was broken by this, and so was her country, Leonia. The queen set.
So
reads, when Rennala, head of both the Academy of Raya Lucaria and the Carian royal family, lost her husband Radagon, her heart went along with him. And then those at the Academy realized that Rennala was no champion after all.
Damn.
In the wake of Radagon's betrayal and Rennala's poor judgment, Leonia struggled with civil war, with the Academy of Raya Lucaria on one side and the Carian royals.
Right, okay.
And it's here.
Got you. So not the Order of the Moon. They were beefing with Raya Lucaria. Got it.
Tree that Luna Princess Rani, daughter of Rennala and Radagon, stole a fragment of the Rune of Death.
Wait, what? With what?
And the age of the Erdtree that in royals on the other. And it's here, during the age of the Erdtree, that Luna Princess Rani, daughter of Rennala and Radagon, stole a fragment of the Rune of Death.
It happened during the golden age of the
Erdtree. Wait. So,
daughter of Rennala and Radagon, stole a fragment of the Rune of Death.
So,
it happened during the golden age of the Erdtree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring.
Right.
Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade.
And Godwin died.
Malekith was Marika's shadow, and he had sealed destined death in a black blade. Then a fragment, only a fragment, of this Rune of Death was stolen. And once this happened, Malekith went a step further in protecting destined death. He bound the blade within his own flesh.
Oh, that's why he did that.
Ever again. It was too late, however. This fragment of the Rune of Death was used immediately, that night, to kill a demigod, Marika's own son, Godwin the Golden.
And that is why she shattered the Elden Ring.
History, and it became the catalyst. Soon, the Elden Ring was smashed, and thus sprang forth the war known as the Shattering.
Now, there is a lot of really credible evidence that Marika was behind this plot to have a fragment of the Rune of Death stolen. There's also...
But why would she do that? Especially if she shattered the Elden Ring. I thought she did it out of rage. Also, I'm understanding that the war is called the Shattering, or it's like the War of the Shattering or whatever. So it's not. So this is all still the age of the Erdtree.
So a ton of evidence that Marika is behind the entirety of your Tarnished quest, but we'll talk about that in another video. For now, all you really need to know, in terms of the timeline at least, is this. After the marriage of Marika and Radagon, and after a fragment of the Rune of Death was stolen, Marika went on to shatter the Elden Ring, and Radagon attempted to repair it, to no avail. The Elden Ring had been broken into ruins.
You can argue that this was the law of causality put into practice.
Some great and some small.
You know, it's said that Lord Radagon harbored a secret. A famed sculptor of the Erdtree capital was once summoned to render Lord Radagon's likeness in giant stature when he glimpsed the skeleton in Radagon's closet. And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret.
That is such fire
The
storytelling.
huge twist in Elden Ring is that
Such amazing
Radagon
storytelling.
is Marika, or depending on what you believe, he became her.
Right.
For she knew it was going to happen.
In Marika's own words, O Radagon, leal hound of the Golden Order, thou art yet to become me. Thou art yet to become a god. Let us be shattered, both. Mine other self.
You can tell when From Software is keeping something a little bit open-ended, and of everything in Elden Ring's lore, this will also go on to be one of the biggest unknowns as we move forward. For example, the wording, thou art yet to become me, reinforces that Marika and Radagon were two separate entities before the Shattering.
And I was over there thinking that they were that she had a split personality. Yeah, but yeah, it definitely merged. My fault.
In contrast, there is also evidence that Radagon was always part of Marika. For example, Enya says that
The demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika.
but how can this be if Radagon married Renala and had those demigod children? The only way that makes sense is if Radagon was always Marika and he just went over there to seduce Renala long ago. I'll present more concrete theories in the future, but on this matter, the most important thing is, what do you think? Well, you can figure
I'm going with the split personality. Fuck y'all. What? But she said, thou art yet to become me. Thou art yet to become a god. Oh my god, this shit got me speaking old English, bro. So I don't know.
out a ton of Elden Ring's story. Not all of it is open to interpretation. Certain things are, and this is one of them. And your interpretation is a big part of what makes this story special.
I think so. Marika. Ooh, hold up. So, okay, if all the demigods are descendants of Marika, all of them, that means Radagon and Marika had to have been the same person when she was on Renala. If she is a god, maybe she has the power to, because we saw in the last boss fight, she had her boobs when she was hanging, and then she fell, and then now she brawling, and she's a dude. She could just switch between. Maybe that's a power. Maybe it's an incantation. Trans incantation. I don't know. Either way, power of a god, she can switch. She's both. She is both. So I think she, once she was chosen as a god by the Elden Beast, which was a vessel for the greater will. So greater will said, hey, Marika, you're my god. You're my she guy, great gal. Was like, and he was like, she was like, all right, cool. I need a consort though. And this consort shall be known as Elden Lord. Godfrey comes into picture. But Shadow, the Shadow Meleketh, is her half, his half brother. So Godfrey, they got married, and Godfrey was Elden Lord, right? Wait, wait, hold on. Okay. while this is happening, Marika's over here raging war because she wants to take over the place. She wants to spread her golden order. So she's fighting as Radagon. She doesn't want people to know it's her. But then she sees Rennala. She's like, what's up? Look, I'm not winning this fight. Let's get married. They get married and they have more offspring. She has more kids with Rennala. Then Godfrey has like fought, and he lost that gold, and like Marika's like, you're not the man I married. He leaves, and then Radagon left Rennala, who is also Marika. Why would she do this? Why would he do this to Rennala? Because he was like, now that Godfrey is gone, they'll be gone, right? Come back stronger. Who cares? I'm gonna be, since I was under the, none of this makes sense. Because I think she made up the whole thing, bro. I think by the time Godfrey left or got sent off or whatever, Radagon, who she was pretending to be and marrying Rennala, left Rennala, and Marika was like, you know what? Since people know Radagon, I'm gonna marry myself. And it was like, thou art yet to become a god. Because everybody thought Radagon was just a simple champion. Thou art yet to become a god. Thou art yet to become me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, bro. I tried. Because I think at the end of the day, Marika wanted to be ruler of all and seen as the Elden Lord. And I think she wanted to do both. I think they wanted all the power. But she can't be Marika and be walking around. So she had to become Radagon to be able to do things outside and not be judged as a god. I don't fucking know, bro.
At any rate, the union of Radagon and Marika seems to be a union of two fundamental opposing laws of the Golden Order.
I don't know, bro. I think, here's the thing. I think when Marika shattered the ring and Radagon tried to put it together, I think it was her shattering it because she was, and then like, because Godwin died and she was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna blame it on my imaginary husband. Honestly, I know I'm wrong, but it's just fun to make up shit.
We mentioned these laws earlier, actually. There's the law of causality, and Marika is an agent of cause and effect. And there's the law of regression, as Radagon is a character who aspires to be complete and regress together. So I have a theory that forcing these two beings that represent these concepts together would have corrected Marika's deviance. But even so, she was imprisoned in the Erdtree for the crime of the Shattering.
Bro, say it again, bro. Because whatever you said was way better than what I said.
Actually, until opposing laws of the Golden Order. We mentioned these laws earlier, actually. There's the law of causality, and Marika is an agent of cause and effect. And there's the law of regression, as Radagon is a character who aspires to be complete and regress together. So I have a theory that forcing these two beings that represent these concepts together would have corrected Marika's deviance. But even so, she was imprisoned in the Erdtree for the crime of the Shattering.
Marika's trespass demanded a heavy sentence. But even in shackles, she remains a god and the vision's vessel.
The conjoined Radagon and Marika even had two demigod children of their own, Miquella and Millennia. these two children were born afflicted. Mikola was cursed with eternal childhood, and Millennia harbored a horrific rot within. Even so, these two children were both chosen as Empyreans. They were immensely sacred beings, and eligible to inherit godhood from the Greater Will. Perhaps the Greater Will was just desperate to find a worthy successor, and indeed in the Shattering War to come, many would try to claim the shards of the Elden Ring, and they would try to take the throne, including, of course, the Tarnished, who returned from their long march at long last, which we'll talk about in the next main lore video. I should probably also mention here that if you become a patron, you'll see upcoming lore videos early, as that's one of the rewards you get if you pledge to the $3 tier. And if you think my channel really adds a lot of value to the Souls games for you to the point where you pledge $20, then in this new tier you'll receive a new mug every 3 months that has a unique design on it to do with the games by From Software. There are 4 to collect. The first one you'll get is inspired by Dark Souls, then Elden Ring, then Sekiro, and finally Bloodborne. And they all have fantastic art that I worked on with an amazing artist named Chu.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I figured this is the right place to end this video because the information here is going to be overwhelming. I bet it probably was too overwhelming, you know? It took me ages to commit these names and the relationships they had with other characters to memory, so I hope you guys are doing alright. One thing that helped me a lot was that we designed an enormous mind map with pretty much all of Elden Ring's lore, all of its item descriptions, all of its dialogues, all of the relationships between characters that we can think of. We added all of this together and it helped a ton in learning about the story and visualizing it all. And one day I will make this asset available to you all because I think after doing it, I think this is the quintessential way to piece together the story, and I think giving you guys this asset eventually will make that accessible for people. So I'm really excited about that. I want to thank Absa and Zard for accepting the paid task of helping me put all the raw data into this mind map so that I could better understand everything. I want to thank Paragod for fulfilling all of my footage requests and creating so many cinematic scenes for this video and for you all to enjoy. And I last of all want to thank John Devlin for the incredible thumbnail. And of course, thank you for watching. There are some really exciting things ahead, and I actually believe this might be the best story that From Software have ever put together. I just think not only are there so many amazing item descriptions, but so many of them are impactful. There are so many moments where you piece together the story and have like a eureka moment, and I'm enjoying it so much.
That's fact.
But now I'm gonna go and play the game a little bit because I've been editing this video for too long. So, see you next time.
Here, bro. Y'all see it. Check him out. That was an amazing video. I'm sure I ruined it a little bit. But hey, I'm legitimately trying to learn, you know what I mean? And I have to talk about it to commit it to memory. And a lot of this is just theories. So it's like, why not have a little bit of fun with it? I just be talking. But yeah, amazing video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like the video. Go to the original video, leave a like on that one. On that, keep your head up. Peace.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil because I'm blind to it all.